feel like you're punctuated more through his head. And I think there's been a few small little versions of things that, like the emo thing, which is like a kind of goth light mix with indie rock, and then hipsters, which was someone tried to group into a subculture of sorts.
They're all 20
You
years
know,
old.
they were all like barbershop quartet fans, you know, walking around there. You know, but and then there's that wonderful Japanese girls, the Harajuku style, which I think is fabulous. It's kind of it's certainly a goth offshoot.
Yeah.
I look at it. The only thing about it is we grew up goths always wore wonderfully long dresses and all that. And here's these Japanese girls taking another element of goth and wearing mini skirts with it, which you know, instantly minister you think of the 60s. You know, just to get back to Gav saying money is invested. Much would a Biba original dress set you back now, considering you have loads of them?
It's weird. It's like, but see, they're all going to auction now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're going to auction, and it's like museums and stuff that are buying them. So it can be like, I mean, I've been to auctions where like a friend of mine was getting married and she wanted a Biba dress. She had her eye on it, and we went over. And if you saw like who you're bidding against, we were like nearly crying. You know, it's like you're there and you're going, there's just no hope. And then when they buy they buy the lot, what they do is they go out and then they go outside, they get the bag, you get your number, and they're sitting on the ground, they're going, not that. They're like putting them into different piles of what they're doing, and you're just going, give me just something, anything. You're seeing great things being. And just because they haven't got the label, they're throwing them, but you know it's a Biba, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's anyone's guess now. It's like, I mean, it's very watered down now, Biba as well, because it's been, you know, the brand is still out there, owned by, you know, Sports Direct or something, I think. So they're still using the Biba logo, and they've cheapened everything. But I don't know. I mean, I've got some stuff at home that I know it's a couple of thousand. You know, they're like in the catalogues, and they're size 6. I can't get into them anymore. I'm really pissed off.
I think one of the more interesting
but nobody's getting them.
that you see have nothing got to do with musical movement or a group of any sort, only because I come across them quite regularly in the area, is art school students who maybe they're studying fashion, but some of them look absolutely amazing, outrageous, fabulous. And I'd be sneaking my phone out, taking photographs of them, or stopping and asking them, can I take a photograph? And I think that's kind of, that should be some kind of grouping.
I think that's it. I think it's not really attached to music anymore, because I think if you think about what all of us talking about when we saw the things that we connected with, it was on Top of the Pops. There is no Top of the Pops. There's no one place that you get that impact anymore. And also in the 70s and the 80s, there were alternative things in the mainstream charts, which you wouldn't get anymore either. So people are consuming either pop, or it's so fragmented through the internet, through Spotify, through TikTok, where they're getting loads of bits of things, and they might know a bit of an old goth song and a bit of something else, and they'll throw it all together into a mishmash. But nobody commits to anything anymore. And I think, as you said, the people who are really into that kind of aesthetic are people who are doing it from an artistic place rather than a music place, because there hasn't been any really big kind of musical subcultures for 20 odd years.
There's a bit of a thing, I haven't been, the underground, I think it's in Fibbers.
Dance to the Underground.
And it's a lot of gender fluidity and goth and punk. But that's a movement,
exactly.
That's passion, you know, and that would be our college gang as well. And they look deadly.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and that's all linked into the drag scene as well. There's a lot of that.
They do look good. I mean, it's weird, because I'm like working in retail again. I'm working in a shop called Rebel, just around the corner, and it's a goth alternative shop. I didn't think I'd ever go back to retail, but I'm back. I'm back, and they look amazing. The kids look amazing that are coming in. They look so good. I'm blasting music out of it, as I said. I'm blasting the Cramps, you name it. There's no reaction at all. I'm just hoping that they will say something. Someone will notice what I'm playing. They don't.
Yeah.
They look amazing. The girls look amazing. They all look amazing. But the thing is, their sexuality is their badge.
Okay.
It's not their. It's not. It's
Not the music.
It's not the music.
Yeah.
They all connect. It's a language. And like if you're my age, you're just kind of going. It's it's hard to get with it. I'm trying to get down with it, but
it's their badge.
It's their
hence,
thing. Yeah.
Hence, that's why
Yeah,
they're
it is.
so. We're called this. We're called that.
And
We're
they're
not called
mad
this.
passionate.
They want to be their
Mad
own,
passionate, yeah.
which is what we
Yeah.
all were in our
Yeah.
own way
And
when we were 20.
There's still like kids like buying clothes and having to give it to their friend. Friend has to hide the dress that the guy is wearing because if he goes home, his family are not going to, want.
That's
So
interesting.
they're hiding the clothes. They're going, can I leave that in your house? There's a lot of men sleeping with older men for clothes. So it continues on. They tell me that they're going and they'll be back tomorrow for that when they get their money for it. So
Does any of
still
the
out there.
audience want to ask any of the panel any questions before we wrap it up about anything at all? Come on, don't be shy. Yes, Anthony.
Gavin, I was just wondering, do you have an archive of any clothes that you had over the years, or do you have any special pieces of the coat you have on today? Have you kept any stuff?
Well, this is, it's an old Vivian Westwood.
I like Vivian a lot. I don't like what's happened. But this is about 15 years old.
Yeah, that's
I have at every fucking shoe, even plastic sandals. Shoes are so easy to store compared to clothes. I have some stuff, including some Virgin Bruin dresses. Yeah, absolutely. I'm afraid to look at them, but yeah.
Come on, you can get it.
I don't know about that. Maybe.
The V&A do all
Yeah.
that. Come on, anybody else? Yes?
Question for everyone. The social media at the moment seems to be full of people saying how much more dangerous Dublin is now, how it used to be so much safer, 30, 40 years ago. And we all know that's not true. But do you think we're looking at it from a student point of view because of all the hassle that we got for looking different? Or do you think it really was kind of safer for us back in the day? Just us?
I think personally that Dublin's always been a bit of a dodgy
Dirty
town, like any old port town. I think when I grew up in the 70s, even as a 9, 10, 11-year-old, the horror stories of gang culture, tribal boot boys, before punk even happened. And then you get up to 1980 when all those revivals happened within youth culture scenes, like the mod revival, the rockabilly, skinhead thing on the back of two-tone, the punks were still there, the rockers, the bikers. It made for a crazy kind of Saturday, Sunday afternoon, constantly all the time. And I think you did get attacked for the way you looked. You always did, but there was also an element that I remember going into areas where my school friends were from, because I was hanging around with this guy this month. Oh, let's go to Dobbins Barn, let's go to Crumlin, let's go to Oliver Bond, Charlemagne Street. The first time you went in, your immediate reaction was, who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing around here? And you might get a slap because of it. Even if you were with someone they knew. But the other thing of being attacked by how you're dressed, remember Cassandra, you were telling me you got attacked by a punk or two or whatever. God, you must have got a lot from Grafton Street in your skirt. And
More at home, more bad at home. On the way into Grafton Street, I got beaten up. I don't know, I mean, the violence was bad, but I think it always was in Dublin. It was pretty rough. I tell you, the worst thing about Dublin is how crap it looks at the moment.
Yeah.
It looked fucking amazing in the 70s and the 80s, even the 90s.
Yeah.
O'Connell Street is glorious. It's actually an embarrassment. It really is shameful. And, the genericness of every main street. I mean, Grafton Street, it's in Belgium, it's in Holland, it's every fucking where. The homogenization of everything in the world is the problem. It's not just Dublin. There's homelessness, there's people sleeping in tents in every fucking city in the world who tend to fucking moan on the radio a lot. But the violence, I think it's also enhanced by drugs. Drugs are far more rampant, and more casual drugs. I'm not like saying glue was really big, I'm not in trouble, glue snippers, but like basically coke for most kids is like having a double vodka when we were 20. Do you know what I mean? And I think it does enhance the violence. And then, you know, the divide also, the working class divide, it's such a complex thing. But my God, the thing that annoys me the most is that shite Dublin nuts.
I just on that, I think that I love the internet, but I think the overexposure to violence. I remember about 15 years ago, I was an electrician and I was on a building site. It was when the internet first came on phones, whenever that was, and a guy in our canteen was going around showing a video of soldiers in some Eastern European country decapitating another soldier. And I said to him, what are you showing that for? Now, it got me for about 3 or 4 days. I couldn't get it out of my head. And I said, what are you showing that to people for? And he said, because it's fucked up. That was his answer. And I remember thinking, how can a human react like that? And then we see what the internet did. And now we see children are watching porn now. And they're getting a misinterpretation of sex and everything. So while the internet has its good, it has its bad. And I think because of the overexposure to violence, I just think it's second nature to kids to do. You see animal cruelty on a larger scale now, everything. It's just because it's not the empathy, there's a lack of empathy, and I think it's an overexposure. It's my tuppence worth to violence. I definitely think.
The last point on that thing about violence is that I think a lot of people tend to forget Dublin, certainly when I was growing up, the major heroin epidemic, twofold in the 80s, third in the 90s. The 90s one came back on, interestingly enough, the last great subculture of the 20th century, the whole acid house rave scene of the late 80s, early 90s, introduced the ecstasy drug, which to me, when I remember, made town a wonderful place. Everyone was in love, man, and it was great. And it didn't last a very long time, like all great initial areas of subculture. First year or two and a half, it's great, it's wonderful, and then the music changes a little, other clubs emerge, people move on, and then the people who did it, who probably aren't into the music or the clothes or whatever, who were probably in it for the drugs, a lot of people I knew from my area that got caught up in the whole thing of being offered heroin to come down off your 4 or 5 E's.
The death of the dance scene was
somewhere in the mid-90s. Heroin came back again on the back of that, and again after having 3 or 4 years of a wonderful kind of happy, loved up city, now you had a heroin boom which created a huge crime wave, and then back came the violence on the back of that. So it's interesting how things tie in and work their way in and out of things, you know.
And I think like exactly that, every subculture, like we used to go to the Olympic Ballroom, which was a goth club, and then almost overnight it became like a rave club, and we'd be going into town to go out, and the people coming to the Olympic Ballroom, you'd be literally running the gauntlet, because there'd be just so much drug dealing, people just going, you, because you look different to them. And it didn't matter whether they were going there to take E or not, they beat your head on the way to take it.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of that.
Yeah, I think that the initial rave scene was great. There's a lot of love there. It was only when, obviously, like anything where drugs are involved, money is to be made.
a lot of guns
So
coming into the
a lot of the
toilets.
gangs associated with, you know, the gangs from Crumlin or Drumna or Manchester or Coolock or Dinner City, who were going initially to get off their head and dance and everything was great and rave on. Suddenly realise there's a lot of money to be made here, and they get involved with other criminals, and then there comes a rivalry, and that's where a very sour kind of dark aura, I remember, emerged in the likes of the Olympic Ballroom and the Mansion House after that initial year or two of the rave scene. And I remember going in one night and just the vibe was like was just gangs everywhere, and you're all staring and looking at each other and don't take care of customers, and I thought, oh no, I can't do this. So a lot of people gravitate to the smaller clubs like Sides and a couple of others around, but yeah, I still think Dublin is still very much violent the way it was when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And it does stop people from dressing up.
Yeah.
It does, and going places and owning their own city. You know,
But
because
it's
that's the
so-
thing, you go your little safe
But almost
route,
like post-COVID, we all had to stay in our own areas. But it's like, I never really understood London. Well, it's a massive city, but people that live in Islington stay in Islington at the weekend. It's starting to get like that
Yeah, it is.
here.
We're all going to a borough.
People are going,
staying.
I'm not moving, I'm
Yeah.
staying in Glasnevin or I'm staying in
Exactly.
Rackar or wherever. I'm not going into
Yeah,
town,
it's true.
which is really sad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, that was actually
So thankfully we got all you to come in here tonight.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So I think we'll wrap it up and head downstairs and then eventually ramble outdoors. So,
Dandelion. I brought my son into your shop and he brought the goblin. Do you remember him? Jake, yeah.
Of course I do.
He absolutely loves your shop. Yeah, so I said, well, it has to be Dandelion. I was going, it has to be, because remember, like, I was great. He's doing Hansel and Gretel, so yeah. Still singing and dancing and stuff like that. Yeah. He's due a visit. He just loves the stuff. He wore his goggles to all his rehearsals.
There's actually some really nice bits and pieces. I know he has a great eye
Yeah.
for it.
No, yeah. There's not an awful lot of stuff his size, so you know. So, and it's after my trousers having come in here.